discussed is still quite relevant topic, I would say. But we're also really happy that we have also we have John here from Nestlé. And we will listen to him how he also explains how Nestlé is adopting the GenAI initiative within the enterprise architecture team. But yeah, I think the also important question is, we often hear this question talking about AI, isn't it just a hype? And I think that is nothing that I can answer, but looking at the Gartner survey from 2023, it seems like it hasn't been a hype by then. So it's quite below technology innovation, digital transformations, cybersecurity. But we are not in 2024. We are not in 2023. We are in 2024. So you see this tremendous change, how CEOs see AI as now a #1 top strategic business priority. So if we listen to the decision makers and CEOs, we will probably expect more and more organizations adopting AI in the enterprise. So that's why we also need to be aware of that being a crucial part of architecture. That's why we're having a session today. So first of all, we're having a short kind of look into the current state of AI in architecture, how it is transforming our journey. And we will see the new expectations coming over. GenAI is raising the bar tremendously. We will also give you an indication of how you can navigate through the new AI era. And then we will learn from John how Nestlé adopts GenAI globally with the enterprise architecture team. So fortunately, we do not have to talk about AI in principle. Yeah, everybody's an AI expert nowadays, at least it feels like. And so we come across the initial state. We are now more in an enterprise adoption phase, and I think as architects, you are often in the situation that you need to discuss with stakeholders how they see and how they want to engage with the help of AI. And if you do so, you will recognize that there are two different kind of people. Obviously, I'm stating here the two extremes. There are most people in between. But in general, you get these people that are quite optimistic, even like enthusiasm coming along if you discuss with them about AI. They see this as providing a bright future, taking over repetitive tasks so that we can focus on what is a pleasure to our work. But, and that is the truth, we also have people that see and feel quite a fear when it comes to AI. From a community and social perspective as well, but also from a job perspective. Is it taking away our jobs? Is it not just a hype and it's actually not changing anything, maybe even bringing more aspects to our work? And for you as architects, I think it's more crucial than ever before that you align not only business and IT, which has always been our job, but also the enthusiasm and the doers and the positive and the negative vibes. So if you build up any AI governance group or team, be careful to take both group of people together. I think for you as well as for us, change is nothing new. So change is by design the topic of architects. We are there to provide the full picture. We are there to show you where is the right path, and also to then also execute with confidence. And more important than ever before, we see that the AI-driven world will be a place where a winner takes it all race will happen. And there is no prize for second place. We see that already happening with AI companies, how much they are spending and elaborating on AI. But it will come more and more into the organizations that there will be a tougher environment. So speed, focus, and resilience will be even more important now with the rise of AI. Now, I think most importantly for you is that it will change the expectations towards architecture. And that is also the expectation you have towards ourselves as a tool vendor. And I think there are three main topics that will change and group. Yeah, it's firstly the quality, that people will now have a different demand, a different expectation than they had before. Second is speed. AI is just so quick. We will see just some examples. And of course, the simplicity of AI, making things easier, even though they are more complex than ever before. Those expectations people realize from their daily work, maybe also from their private experience, and now this will be the expectation towards you and your expectation towards us. Talking about quality is something I do not have to explain in quite detail, because you all know how good the quality of AI has already been after not only 2 years after ChatGPT has been published. We see how many benchmarks and exams it's already passing. So that is also the experience on quality towards your end. All what you see here is built by AI. So people that know what's new capability will also ask the tool and the architects to provide high quality results. And that could be supported by text to diagram generation. So you're just writing a plain text, and the tool will provide a diagram for you. So that is easier to consume, it's fast creation of it, and of course also building up the quality, because people now see and understand it easier as it was before to read the whole text. Second, AI can also help you to build up an automated styling or customizing of your diagrams. Whereas it was necessary to understand proper architecture language in the past, nowadays more and more AI-based translation of text into images, icons, and logos is the case, so that it's easier to understand for non-architects what you are diagramming and what you are creating. Talking about speed, you see how fast it is to build up a mind map built by AI, or write an essay about the future of enterprise architecture. Both took less than a full minute for this result to be created. Once people get to know this and they get used to this, that's what their expectation will be towards you, and again, also your expectation towards us. How can we support this new expectation of speed and fast delivery of results? So in the new AI era tool interaction, you will probably rely on image recognition-based imports of diagrams. So no matter if you write something on a whiteboard or in Visio or in any other application you're using, Miro, Dryo, anything else, now it's not the question of what file format can you import, it's just a question of why can the AI not recognize what's on my picture? So you will experience AI-based diagram importers that will create your repository or enrich existing repository. And then, of course, help you to standardize diagrams and explorations in a standard format that you are using, however this source diagram came from. Talking about simplicity, you know that if you're not a physician, if you're not an expert in something, you can just ask AI to explain it to you as you would be a child. And it's making this really, really good. So it's quite fun to read these answers sometimes. And it's easy to understand complex topics. If you're not a coder, now you can use GitHub Copilot. If you are not a designer, you can use so many different software or services currently that makes it easier to work with it. And you do not need to be an expert. AI is going to do the simplification of complex topics in a good, readable way. What if you are not an architect? And And that happens often. We see the more and more decentralized approach of doing enterprise architecture. So what can the tool do to support this? And I think natural language processing is a good way. If somebody is going through the architecture world and has this AI assistant just on the side, like, please explain me what's this, or why don't I find the following application on this diagram? What does this huge maturity gap mean for our organization? Or I want to create a new future state. Where do I start? What are the steps I need to do? So it's easier to understand, even it's a complex topic. And this could even go far beyond that. Just imagine it would also generate output for you. As an example, in Europe, we have this new regulation, DORA, Digital Operational Resilience Act, which comes as a long, like 70 pages bureaucratic document. You would need to be an expert to understand what's exactly requested from an organization to fulfill this. It would be amazing, right, if you could just upload this document and then interact with the tool about it. So you're uploading this and you're telling the tool, hey, I need to provide insights on the alignment between strategy and our overall business strategy. Given this document, what should I provide? And the tool, with the help of the AI-supported insight graph, can then give you the diagrams, the dashboards, the explorations of what's needed over here. Just as a few examples on how expectation is growing and how you can face them. Now, how to navigate through this new era. You will maybe need some help on this because so many new things are coming up. Maybe it feels like a new maze you are entering. Maybe it feels like a treasure map. And we're happy to say that besides the two guys looking into a new thing that they do know where to go, we have this blue EG, maybe we're gonna call it like that, who's supporting you. And you have, I think, most of it that it takes to go that new journey is already there if you just take care of the three important pillars of AI adoption. First is data management. So data architects know about data quality, data integrity. That is needed to define what data you want to train your AI with and what you are allowing to be read by the AI so that you will not get into any governance breach. Second topic is the change management and the organizational culture. As we said earlier, there are people that are resistant to change. So you need to find the people that are engaging with that topic so that you do not have these siloed AI initiatives. Bringing people together, the positive and the negative influence people with the topic of AI, sitting in one room, defining your strategy. And an important pillar is the topic of AI safety, ethical and regulatory compliance. With all the great stuff, even if you are enthusiastic about AI, do not forget there are evolving AI regulatory landscapes. EU AI Act, and so on. In other regions of the world, similar approaches happening. AI is still biased. Be aware of that. When you train the GPT or any other large language model you're using, be aware of the privacy and confidentiality topics you may have. And within your AI tool, you already have a lot of things that you can do to manage enterprise AI. First of all, what I would suggest is make sure that you treat AI as just any other capability or process within your organization. Do not miss out to place it within your capability map or your process framework, wherever it belongs, right? It might be different from branch to branch. Second, integrate it into your application and technology architecture so that you know where it's running, what are the services using it, what applications are relying on AI. Whenever it comes to transparency, governance, compliance, this will be crucial, especially coming up with this new regulatory demands. I also recommend to build up a monitoring around this. What are your targets? What are the KPIs you want to achieve? What are the layers they are connected with? And keeping track of this in a dashboard or something similar or report. And identify relevant stakeholders, goals, principles that you define. Who is the business role owning that? Who's responsible for the data of that? So build up your framework, and I'm really happy that John will also mention that in his part, because we will see that Nestle also took care of that, and it's quite a good best practice approach I would see from their end. So I will pause here and hand over to John and his speech about what we can learn from Nestle about this topic.
So, quick introduction of who I am. I'm John Lamazares. I'm a senior solution architect in Nestle. I've been with Nestle for just under 2 years now, but I've been in the IT industry for around 35 years, longer than I really want to know. So I'd like to explain a bit about how Nestle leveraged the enterprise architecture to scale it throughout the entire corporation. So I explain about who Nestle are. So we have about over 2,000 brands worldwide. We have 270,000 employees in Nestle. That's excluding all the contractors and vendors we work with. We sell in over 188 countries, or if there's only 188 countries in the world, maybe that's it. And our turnover last year was 93 billion Swiss francs. And when I first joined Nestle, I didn't grasp how many different brands we actually covered. And it's not just coffee and chocolate, it's quite a bit more. It's including pet food, waters, and health. And just to give you an idea of the scale of the technology landscape we have over 2,000 web applications in production. There's 4.7 million active users per month. Our enterprise resource planning solutions is fully in the cloud. That was a very long project and it just finished last year. With 3 million IoT connected devices. That's your vending machines that you find in the shop corners and things, and lots of consumer call center contacts and support interactions. And my department is the Center for Enablement, and what we focus on is the composable architecture that enables the different teams and use cases to leverage the self-service capabilities and to reduce enterprise risk by creating reference architectures. We've designed approved patterns and approved solution business building blocks. So let's quickly introduce who I am and my company. Now I'm going to talk about generative AI. So as you know, generative AI has just come on our radar just 18 months ago, and it's a big thing, but it's been around for about 10 years now. And this is where the senior management at Nestle realized that there's much opportunities that we can leverage, and we need to get on this as soon as possible. This really helped Nestle understand what we wanted to do. We prioritized it, and they cleared the roadblocks to start creating the use cases for this technology. So we did have our innovation team working on generative AI for quite some time, way before November 22. And so they already have like an idea of what it is, how it works. But the rest of the development teams have not really used it at that point. So the opportunities that came up was quite a lot. So from the innovation and R&D, there's abilities to innovate and create new recipes that humans would never imagine of doing. But when you marry this and leverage machine learning to understand what the taste preferences of different markets are, then it's able to predict whether a recipe is going to be successful or not. Um, but you still need human intervention to taste and go through all the skills, because again, it could hallucinate and take us down the track, which is not what we really want to go. Um, there's procurement and manufacturing, where we have supplier selection. It helps with demand planning and inventory optimization. Now, some things like in that area, there are tools which already exist, which leverages AI, but with the GenAI, it's able to um, articulate things in more natural language, and you can ask questions about it, which makes it a lot easier to work with. The logistics and warehousing, that helps with the route optimization, warehouse layouts, and supply chain optimizations. It's just really cool when you start leveraging that information. For marketing, the opportunities is for content generation, there's predictive analytics, and social media management. Just from the social media management, you could have many reviews coming through, and some of them really do need human intervention or to review them. So you can get GenAI to read these reviews and identify whether it does require some attention, or you could just ignore it or come back with like a predetermined response. For the customer development and sales, this is where you helps with the lead generation. You have your CRM, sales forecasting, price optimization, and sales performance analysis. And then you have underneath all this is your support functions. And there's lots of opportunities there, and that's because we're in the IT area. This is where I see lots of people jumping up and down saying, we need to do this, we need to do that. But it's like there is so much opportunity there to take advantage of. Okay, so what was Nestle's biggest challenges with GenAI in particular? What's the speed of the evolution? The number of industry breakthroughs and release cycles was, it just kept on coming. It was relentless. And because of the speed of this technology and immaturity, we had the lack of skills, and we needed training. So how did we get over this? We partnered with vendors. We understood exactly how to do these things, how to leverage this technology. We created a composable architecture so that when something new comes along, which is better than what we have in its place, so we can easily replace it. And we kept things small first. We industrialized it to make sure that it does work. So we didn't like bring in all the functionality all in one go, only to find out that it didn't work. Oh, yeah, there's something else about that. There's um, the networking architecture, the infrastructure. We had to change that quite a few times because to modify it to suit the scale of what we had to cater for 270,000 employees. But yeah, works really well with especially with the composable architecture, so we could cope with that, keep things small. The next big challenge we had was the number of use cases which kept coming through. There was lots of duplication, so you could start seeing the pattern of what was needed. There was the business expectation that we could get this out straight away. So that's same with the time to deployment. They wanted things yesterday. That's standard. So how did we cater for all these use cases? We decided to set up a AI council. So this is where we got the heads of different operating companies to come together and work together. So that's when we have like an idea, we can focus things, we centralize the communication so that we're sending out the same message to all the different markets. We filter the use cases so that when all these use cases come through, we channel them into one place so we can prioritize them by the value that they could potentially produce. And also we had hackathons with the vendors, so they trained us up at the same time. And then we started practicing and using these high value use cases to see if we can get the MVP out very quickly. The next challenge we had was redundancy. We have many teams in IT. They're dotted all over the place. They're in different parts of the world. So there's lots of the same experiments happening. The same architecture is being developed. So how do we cope with that? From the AI Council, we got to, because of the heads of the different operating companies, we created a cross-stream task force. This task force was really good because normally you would actually try to get people, the lead architects from another operating company to say, could you come and help us out with this, that, the other? And normally you would get some resistance, but because we had direction from the senior management, again, the roadblocks opened up, they came in, and then they started getting excited about what they were doing. They were sharing their experiences. It was a fantastic thing to watch, and I had the prime seat in that task force, which I really enjoyed. It was a beautiful thing to see. From this, we decided that we needed a service gateway. So one place where we can have an economy of scale so that everything goes through the same place, we go through the same areas, and then we can get better prices. We have a bigger bargaining chip, especially with the size of Nestle. What we did as well was we created a reference architecture so that we could share with the different teams. With the different teams using the same architecture, they speeded things up. They could understand, they could see that we had the same approved applications, which would help. And with this, we even created a GenAI RAG, that's the Retrieval Augmented Generation accelerator. We industrialized it, we put it into GitHub, and then people use some use cases that needed to have a RAG solution could just copy this templates from the GitHub, modify it to suit their use case. I think it works fantastically. And then there's communication. Keep telling the everybody what's going on. Make sure that they're not using the public services and sharing the sensitive information. So communication was really key. And with this, I want to explain how the role of enterprise architecture helped work with these challenges. So the first thing was the strategic alignment, communication and collaboration. So we aligned all our goals. We aligned the IT teams, and we had a coordinated approach between everyone. There's still like some teams which they like to, or they don't realise that they could do these things, or this was happening. They didn't read the communication. There's still a few issues there, but we do our best to ensure that everybody has the opportunity to see this, and that ticks all the boxes of these challenges. Then we had the standardization and governance. So we identified the different approved components from the IT landscape. We brought the landscape into BizDesign, and then from there, I created those lists so that's easy for the designers, the architects, to see what components they can put in that reference architecture, and it just speeded things up tremendously. And we had established standards and guidelines. So we did the training for how to use this. We did some videos to show the best practices on this technology. We had a consistent implementation. So this is with that RAG template. And we promoted efficiency and reduced complexity by having that gateway. So yeah, again, it ticks all the boxes. Integration, interoperability, scalability and flexibility, risk management, all the keys of having like a great technology that will suit and serve an entire enterprise. So from this, we were able to identify the integration points, the data flows and the dependencies. We used scalable composable architecture. So this is where the infrastructure was had high availability, it had redundancy. So it was capable of working just as fast as it is in Europe, as it does in the States, as it does in Asia. We had done a risk assessment and security and checked on security vulnerabilities. So all these were like addressed, and we caught them and we displayed them, and we used business sign for this. So yeah, again, it ticked all the boxes. And the last one was planning and road mapping. So this is where we had to identify how are we going to scale this out to entire enterprise. Right in the early days last year, there was a limited amount of infrastructure from the vendors. So for the 270,000 employees at Nestle, who was like jumping up and down saying, when can we use this? We only were limited to 4 synchronous connections or prompts. So that was very challenging. So we had to scale this slowly until the vendors caught up with the demand. So yes, we did it one market by the next market by the next market until we had everything done. So that catered for the speed of evolution. The use cases, we started small, we expanded out. So once we understood how vector databases work, we trained all our developers how to use it, how RAG works, how to put everything together. All that was identifying how we can do this. And now we're able to cope with everything. So this ticks all the boxes. Now, originally, I wanted to go through each one of these tick boxes and just mark the ones which it addresses the challenge. But when I did a lot of thinking about it, maybe too much thinking, every single one of those boxes was ticked. From the outcome of this exercise, this is the reference architecture which we created. And what you might see here is the right side is the service to generative AI. Right in the middle there, we have the gateway, the API gateway, and that's is controlled by an endpoint there, which has is all stored in a key vault. We have IAM security to ensure only the right applications have access to this service. And the service goes to, it could be Azure OpenAI, it could be Google Bard or anything else which we decide to be approved and acceptable. And that will only use language models which has been approved. So we can't get access to Grok, for instance, because that could have serious biases. It's not controlled. It's a bit Wild West in that area. But from here, it's all controlled and it's secure and it's safe. And from this gateway, this is where we can monitor the usage of this service. So we understand exactly how excited people are about it, and when it's like and who's using it as well. So it's like not the people, but the departments, the functions, and also the markets. So this has came up with some really good analytics, and also we could build back the usage of this service back to the application or to the departments who created it. So this has all been gone through the architecture review meetings, and we have approved all the different components in here, and the data flows is all encrypted appropriately. So everything is safe from this API gateway. So when a use case comes along, we only have to focus on the left hand side. So if it's just a simple chatbot that people want to get, it's just going to consist of a user interface. It could be Teams, it could be a web app, it could be a mobile app, it could be anything. And that's what runs down to an API point that goes into the orchestrator, and the orchestrator, something like LangChain will be used, and that's again, it's checks by IAM security to ensure that you can access this service, and then that goes straight to the API gateway. If they want a RAG solution that goes through the vector store, then that's controlled through here. It's freedom in a box almost. And so that, but so long as they follow this architecture pattern, then the speed of going through this ARM. By the way, the ARMs at Nestlé can take several months. The shortest time is more like a few weeks to a month, but it generally takes 1 or 2 months to get through. So this was a big point that we needed to get these use cases out there, because the directive from the senior management was we need to utilize this service as quickly as possible. So this is the key, creating this this reference architecture. And to go on to a few real world use cases that we have. Not going to go to too many because I might be telling a few too many secrets. So the first one is the chatbots, which I was saying, kept things simple. This was the first thing which we developed. And from there, we created a reference architecture. And from the reference architecture, we created the RAG template. And this has been evolved over time, and it now is enriched with our principles, our policies, and our standards. So you can ask any questions about these policies, and it comes back with a true answer, not a hallucinated one, but a real answer. The next one was I'd like to say, because my dear colleague Peter, he was in the hackathon, which was done in the States, and just over the space of 2 days, they came up with this idea. It's like, can this work? To get in and doing a presentation in front of the business to being accepted. It's now going to be industrialized. So it has been industrialized. But this is a great little thing where you have a sales rep who's might have done the full day within 5 hours. There's still got another 3 hours left, and they're in another town. It's like, okay, so do I have any high value customers around me now, which I could visit, make use of? And it comes back and says, well, yes, you've got these customers which you could visit, and you can pick and choose which one to go to. So that's maximizing your downtime. Another one which I really like is the website alt text generator. So these guessing images and figuring out what's in the content, describing what is that image. So it comes up with those tags. So your search optimizer would site search optimizer would work, and it finds your sites and promotes your sites much faster. So after the initial cost developments, the cost compared to the outsourced partners which created these descriptions manually, it's down to 0.02%. Now, if you remember, I said there's over 2,000 web applications in productions. This can be quite significant cost saving. And the last one, which I'd like to share with you, I would like to share more, but I'm afraid I can't say that. Is the factory operator assistant. So this is where we have operators who join, get onboarded into the company. They get trained up on the machines and the line. Do you understand their parts? And then a few months later or a few years later, they leave. And that's good. We're getting knowledge erosion here. So what we need to do is actually keep that that data, that information there, so that it gets passed on to the next person. Also, with new operators, they might forget the training, so they can ask these questions. Now, right now, they would, or in the past, they would raise a ticket, and the ticket would get answered by 20 odd people in the call center who would actually get back to them and say, yeah, this is how you do it. But they want that information right now, and they could ask these natural questions in their own language, and it comes back with like, this is how you use it. So this becomes really interesting, and there are plans to expand this. But like I said, we keep things very simple as possible at first, ensure that works, and then start expanding it. And yeah, it's very interesting where it's shown that generative AI is currently at the top of the inflated expectations. So that may be so, but the revolution of generative AI is not stopping. It's in fact rocketing through the roof. So we're ready for a roller coaster ride, a hell of a one. So to wrap up my my presentation here, I'd like to give you 3 takeaways. First one is start small and industrialize it. This way, if there's anything that needs to be changed or something new, or do you see something which is really scary, you can stop it immediately. You don't want to have a Google Bard thing, you know what happened. So this is the key there, and collaboration and sharing. The cross-site task force was a brilliant idea from the AI Council. Putting these lead architects together and to work together in one room, okay, although virtual, it was great. Being in one room physically would have been even better, but this got the lead architects talking and sharing their experiences, and it didn't stop at those like 1 meetings per day. It just carried on afterwards, and it's brilliant. And I'm not just talking about GenAI now. And the last one is communication and education. Get that information out there. Tell people about what you're doing, what's in the roadmap, and educate people. Train the trainers so that the IT people can actually help the business make the most use of the technology. And with that, I really thank you for your time on this.
Thank you so much, David, for your presentation earlier, and also to John Ramatzaris from Nestlé for sharing his story with us that we were able to share here today. Before we go through a couple of questions, I know we're running very close to the end to this session, so hopefully you can stay on with us for a couple more minutes. I just wanted to quickly share that we will be at these 2 upcoming Gartner conferences, at the Gartner IT Summit in London in September, and also at the Gartner IT Symposium at the Gold Coast in Australia in September. So if you're planning on coming, or if you're already registered to come, make sure to visit us on our booth. We will also present a session on each of these events, and if you haven't yet registered, you can use our discount code. So feel free to take a screen grab of this if you're planning on attending. And with that, let's have a quick look into our Q&A. Just a couple of questions, which I'll direct to you, David. So the first questions, the AI features that you showed during your presentations earlier, David, and when will these be available?
Yeah, so that's a question towards the roadmap, yeah, on these topics.
Yeah.
The roadmap is nothing that I can give you a quarter or even a month when it's going to be validated or when it's going to be published. We have some beta tests already going on, but nothing that I could name more concrete. Stay tuned for the product roadmap sessions, so you will be knowing about that whenever there's more to tell about it.
Okay, thank you. And then also regarding those new functionalities, which AI model will be the basis for these?
So that's, to be honest, that is still being evaluated. So we're playing around with OpenAI models, with Amazon models, with also Anthropic, Claude models. They all have their strengths and weaknesses, depending on if you're talking about natural language processing or you're talking about image recognition. So as we just heard also from John, you really need to see the use case and find the right service for it. So nothing that has yet been decided.
All right, thanks, David. We will need to wrap up this session. I hope you found this session valuable and can take something away for your own EA practice from this. Thanks again, David, and have a good day or evening, everyone.
Thanks for hosting. Bye, everyone.